All right, you guys hyped me, so I'm starting this podcast today, and I want to say that if it doesn't work, that it's your fault. I'm just kidding, guys. This is Broom from the Broom Closet Briefing, and so many of you said that yes, I should start a podcast where we can talk about everything esoteric, politics, divination, everything, right? So, first of all, I want to start this first episode by saying thank you so much, and not in the performative way people are taught to do online, but in the real, most raw way. Because this Substack, how it exploded, is like it's still beyond comprehension. Because when I started this, I never thought anyone wanted to read anything that I had to say. They will probably make fun of me, like I made fun of in a lot of my friend circle, and my friends, they love me, but they don't take me seriously on what I see, or what I say, with respect to my so-called hobby, right? So I want to thank you that the kind of thank you I want to give you is the one that you give when you know that a thing exists only because other people believed in it before it had any proof. So, to all of you who have been with me for the long time, like starting from, I don't know, March or April of this year till now, and who read my work when it was quieter, stranger, right, and harder to categorize. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And you stayed when this corner didn't really fit cleanly into any category, whether it was politics or spirituality or journalism, and didn't ask me to make it easier to digest either. You trusted my thinking, you trusted my writing, and that matters more than you know. And to the many of you who joined me just this past month, I want to welcome you to the Broom Closet Briefing family. We have a very close knit community, very interactive and very engaged community. I mean, you will be able to see that how much discussion we have in the chat. Like, we kind of hang out there, and you didn't just subscribe, you actually are joining a family. You are participating, and you read closely, you responded, you encouraged me very directly to finally give this work a voice. This podcast exists now because enough of you said that this deserves to be spoken. So if you're new here, I want to say, know this: you're not late, and you're right on time, because this is our very first episode. Seriously, this is the first episode. So I built the Broom Closet Briefing back in March because I needed a place where complexity wasn't treated like a liability, and a place where, I want to say, politics could be discussed without pretending it's purely like rational, and intuition could be used without being dressed up as delusion. So I was tired of watching like power being analyzed as if it operates on spreadsheets alone. So when it so clearly runs on myth and symbolism, fear and repetition. So I want to say politics and divination are not opposites. They're kind of like mirrors. Just like astrology is also the mirror of the political warfare, is a starry warfare that's going on in the sky. Both are languages for tracking power and how it moves, how it lies, how it concentrates, and how it eventually would crack. Divination doesn't create events, it reveals the pattern, the energy. And politics, whether we admit it or not, is one long ritual that is being performed in public. And I've said this many times, right, guys? I mean, if you're here with me, I've shown you, like, it is a ritual that is being performed in public, right, in front of our very eyes. So what I stumbled into is almost by accident, was a way of reading the political world the same way I read a tarot spread. And by looking at placement, timing, repetition, and what's conspicuously is missing in that. So I didn't just set out to invent a genre, but somewhere along the way, this kind of became what I now think of as divination journalism, pattern based, symbol literate, and accountable to reality. So once you stop treating the news cycle or news as kind of like a series of isolated events or shocks, and start reading it as a narrative under pressure, the noise kind of starts to fade. You stop being surprised by outcomes and start recognizing inevitabilities. Chaos will become less random. It will stop looking random, and it will start looking more structured, because chaos has its own pattern. Believe me. This podcast is actually an extension of that practice. So it's where I go on the record what I predicted, what landed, what didn't, and why. So, not to perform like certainty, but to model more like clarity. So, because intuition without accountability is just, I don't know, just aesthetics, right? And I'm not interested in aesthetics without substance. And I always bring the receipts. So, as we move forward towards 2026, there will be more coming, deeper arcs, longer memory, fewer hot takes, and more context. So, this is a space for people who sense that something fundamental is shifting and want the tools to see it clearly. I don't give you hope core. I give you what is actually possible and what is coming, right? That is devoid of panic, devoid of worship, and without pretending that we don't recognize patterns when they actually repeat. And I'm showing you that it is, right? We have that discussion all the time in the chat. So if you're here for certainty, this may not be comfortable. I have to warn you. But if you're here for clarity, I welcome you. So let's begin. I want to first go over the few things that I did get right, and then we will talk about a few things that I did not quite get right. So let's go over the fact that the very first thing I ever predicted was how he goes, and how my cards revealed that this is how he goes. All right. So the first reading I do want to talk about, and I'm very proud of how clear this reading was. This reading was called From Emperor to Exile, which was a card by card collapse. In this reading, I literally asked my cards some very, very specific, like direct questions. And the readings were like right on your face, like on my face. There is no way to interpret it in a different way. And if you're new to my world, I don't read tarot like a lot of tarot readers do. That is because I read tarot as if they are scrying. They're like scrying surfaces for me. So I have a lot of decks, and I function like I intuitively feel guided to use a certain deck to read the question that is in front of me. And I that is a part I can't explain, like how I feel intuitively guided to use a certain deck to do that. In some point in my life, I probably will have a logical explanation. But when I see those images trigger in my, basically I get um, a message that makes, like, reveals a sequence of things that is going to take place. And if you read all my articles, that's how I create the storyboard of what I have pulled and kind of weave it into a story. And surprisingly, a lot of you have told me that, oh, this is exactly how I saw this thing kind of manifest. That is because I use this as kind of like a future snapshot. And I weave that into a story because I can recognize the pattern, the symbolism, and that basically, participates in weaving the storyboard. Human brain is that intelligent. It is really. Anyways, coming back to this reading, here I asked some very no fluff questions, and one of them question was what takes him out, and which basically talks about, by him I mean fictional character I write about, and you all know about that character. His name is Tangerine. He is the leader of a free world, okay, and everything is alleged only. So in this reading, I basically talk about when will his downfall begin, with a health issue or a legal action, and it's basically what gets him first. And it clearly showed there was a card. The card is the star, but in this you know like illustration of the star, the card basically shows a person who's lying in a hospital, and he is in taking a selfie while he's hooked to an IV. I want you to put a pin on that, because that card appeared in multiple readings after that, where every time somebody was asking, like, what are those, like discolored hands on his, like discolored skin on his hand, and those are IV punctured wound. And see how I did that over there. This one told me that story back in May, that somebody is getting regular IV infusion. So I will link this reading to this podcast episode so that you can go and read it if you haven't read it, because there are lots and lots of readings to read. And I feel some of them are pretty evergreen at this point because they are so repetitive, and they always kind of give us the gist of what is actually coming. So I think that one reading actually kind of gave us the whole storyboard of what was going to take him out. The thing that I would say that I didn't quite initially understand when I was reading on this pattern was I didn't know that the Epstein thing would break out into such a big thing. I knew that it could have, like, it because there will be a scandal involving women and children, but I thought it would. So, at that time, I would say that my rational brain thought it would something to do with the abortion issue in United States, or Roe v. Wade, or more reproductive restriction. But the women and children, it was talking about the Epstein Island, and I did not at that time. I did not really know that, and that's a confession. Next thing I would say that the thing that I'm really really proud of the reading was that reading called. Um, it was right after there was this really public breakup that happened between a very you know uh, p- uh, well, every time I think about him, it's just I kind of feel bad for him, as well as kind of feel like what were you even thinking? Um, he's a very wealthy businessman. I think he's the wealthiest person on earth at this time, and his and the leader of this free world called Tangerine. There was a very very public feud that happened on Twitter, and in that reading as well, that star card again popped up, which basically was talking about an IV infusion happening right while we talk. So in that reading, I would say that I also included the where people on mainstream media, or like independent media, who are pretty mainstream at this point because they have a huge following, like David Pacman and other Midas Touch Network. They were also talking about that he is MIA. And where was he? He was gone. Like, he was gone. Nobody knows where he was for almost a week. And that was the week nobody heard from him. There was no Truth Social post, nothing. And this card had popped up. And at this point, if we put together the pattern, we can't help but think that he's getting some kind of medical treatment, which is probably an IV infusion, because he has all of this punctured wound. And the recent one shows that he has the punctured wound on his other hand, not just one hand anymore. And I want to say I'm pretty proud that I think I got that right. Next thing, I would say that I was very proud that I got that one right as well, was, let's see, the parade before the fall. So that is the article, and I made that prediction in May 2025. A lot of people asked me, what do you think? Is the parade going to happen? My reading said that parade was not cancelled, but it would be so small that it might look like insignificant. And it also said that what happens instead is, whether or not the parade proceeds, it becomes a symbol of collapse. And I think that was the day we saw him, like, really really defeated, because nobody showed up on that parade as much as it was hyped up. The military kind of did a very like a lackluster parade, and it felt like the military was actually kind of revolting, if you ask me. Don't ask me why I know this, because I may or may not be married to somebody who was in military. But anyways, um the point is that um, it looked like it is going to be a lackluster, and something that would trigger a very uh, like a scene of defeat, and that is exactly what happened. So I think I got that one right as well. Next thing I would say I want to talk about is um yeah, the shutdown. I think there were many. I'm just picking the top few. I think there were many many things that I got right. I think I have a very good track record of last year. I mean, this year, 2025. So I'm just picking my the best ones at this point. Um, So the next one I would talk about is the shutdown. And I think initially the shutdown, I thought that it may start to move after Pluto goes direct on October 13th. But this reading was done on October 12th, and that showed me that it is not gonna, the government's not gonna open before November. And I think that is what I got. No, it opened in like a second week of like uh, later after first week of November, I think. And it also said that the shutdown will end by early November. We have the resolution, but what returns will carry the scent of soil. So it will not be any kind of resolution. Nobody will win in that shutdown. And the death figure in the first card doesn't vanish. So she becomes the roots of whatever comes next. So that is kind of what we ended up having, is like the Republicans only promised to have a vote on the Medicare stuff, subsidies, but nothing concrete they actually got from the Republican side. But then the Epstein thing came out the same day, so that is a different beast of its own. So I think I got that one right as well. Then next, I want to talk about this article where I said that when he was going for what did he call it? The second annual checkup at Walter Reed. So this article was called "The Birthday Cake at Walter Reed," and this one was basically talked about a scan. Do you guys see that? The world the world card was basically the scan. It said in the previous card was a bind. This is the revelation through constraint and a forced look inward. And then what did we find out? He had an MRI. Okay, and he only blurted it out later on, saying that he did have an MRI, and everybody asked him what kind of MRI it was, and he keeps saying, and then his minions keep saying that it was um, abdominal MRI or something, right? But this reading accurately predicted that it was going to be some kind of a scan that would be as if they are monitoring something. And in the quote I wrote, the end of denial, whatever this was about, it's not casual checkups anymore. It's about finding something deep, something developing, something that needs to be faced. So I do think that this reading was very on point, and you can almost feel the universe say enough pretending. So uh, the last card was tower. So in the hospital narrative, this is a breakdown, the event that shatters the illusion of control, and the unexpected development, the overnight stay, the rush team of doctors, etc., etc., all of these things. So what I say that in this reading, it is basically say that a body can only hold its secrets for so long, and in tarot's language, the tower doesn't destroy the truth; it frees it, and that is what it did. It came out of his own body. He blurted it out that he had an MRI, and then obviously people are asking questions now because what was the MRI for? Because those are not the scans that you do for just preventative checkup, right? Yeah. Um, this country, people are naive and innocent, and yeah, they can be manipulated, but they're not stupid. All right, next thing would be, all right, next one I am going to talk about is, yes, it's about Jimmy Kimmel. And this is the one where I actually used my Lenormand deck instead of my tarot. And I think a lot of people said that what happens to Jimmy Kimmel's future, and I said that in according to this reading, he will come back to his prime time slot. They will reinstate him, and that is exactly what happened. That he was reinstated back on his prime time, and yeah, this was also on point. Next, I want to talk about the election predictions that I did, and I think I got all of them right, including the fact that Zoran Mamdani actually won the mayoral primary, according to a lot of the exit polls and polls. Most of them actually predicted Andrew Cuomo winning the primary, and I think I have a demonstrative video on why I thought that he would be winning based on my Lenormand deck. And then I did this reading called Order Above All, the 2025 election forecast through Domestic Divine Tarot, which is my own personal tarot deck. I predicted the mayoral election in New York, which showed Zoran Mamdani is going to win, which I got it correct. And even the tarot told us the story on why he's going to win. If you haven't read this, you should go read this article. I also predicted the Virginia gubernatorial race, which is basically I call it the apple pie restoration, in which I predicted that she's going to win, Abigail Spansberger. And it also, the tarot tells us a story behind why she's going to win. And then I have the New Jersey gubernatorial race where I predicted that she's going to win, Mikey Sherrill. And even the tarot kind of gives you the context on why she wins this race. Um, I also wanted to say that I think the part that I did not get right here would be that in the New Jersey race, I thought that it is going to be a single point win, but I think all three races we have almost quite double digit, um, like wins. So I would say I'll take that I didn't get that detail correct. Um, Next, I think I want to talk about, let's see. Okay. The Tennessee election, the one that happened, I think a lot of people were really hopeful that um, Afton Bain is going to win, but I think my reading clearly showed that even though there will be hope, it might look like she could win, it will not be eventually her win. It is going to be won by the Republican candidate, but it will be quite closer than they normally are, and that is exactly what happened. So I think I got most of it correct, guys. And apart from that, the one that I didn't talk about in details, and I will link those as well here. I want to take. I want to take a look at Pam Bondi's 6 months reading, which basically says that she is going to be sacrificed as the person who actually, you know, needs to be punished for what she did. In that one, it says Pam Bondi's 6 months move from center stage visibility to betrayal inside her own camp, to damage control, optics driven denial, and finally a quiet withdrawal. So we haven't yet seen the culmination of that, but it is moving towards that, um, to, conclusion. And I also predicted Christine Ohm will be replaced as the border DHS secretary, and we are already hearing that she might get replaced at the beginning of the next year by either Glenn Youngkin or somebody else. But Glenn Youngkin's name is very much being floated because he will not have a job because we have a new um, governor in Virginia, Abigail Spansberger, who's going to take office soon, right? So he will be free to do all of that. So I think I might even get those two right, but those two hasn't happened in 2025, so we have to kind of look through 2026 to see and then hold me accountable for that. Absolutely, you guys should do that. I think that's about it. There are many readings that I got right, and I would say that the things that I did not get right is I really predicted that he is going to be gone, leave presidency before this year ends, like before winter, in fact, like by fall. That is a part I would say I didn't get right, and I say that that was a little bit of a bolder prediction, because time is always very hard to predict, as time is really a man-made concept, right? It is not. It is something that we made up so that we can make sense of or quantify events, right? So what I'm trying to predict is energy, and energy kind of trying to be contained in a container of time is actually hard. I would say it is something that I don't it is a hit or miss. I think I have had a lot of success predicting time, but for events that we are kind of like sure it's going to happen. It's like the only thing is that how soon. And I would say this is also one of those events that is, we know that's going to happen. It's just when it is happening, that's all. And I think we are super super close. And you would see that the time when I started predicting that he had the card, the star card that shows a person in hooked to an IV, that card has popped up from May, and that's when we started hearing about the discoloration of his hand, and then his vanishing act and all of those things. So I think it is predicting the timing correctly. It's just like the culmination of it, and I blame modern medicine for that because, like I said, free will slows things down or expedites things. I don't think it changes a destination. So when we say that somebody has free will, it's like, yeah, free will is like being treated by modern medicine. So it is probably going to slow things down a little bit, but I don't think it can actually alter the inevitable. So I'm not saying something happens to him, but we will see. Because given you the fact that the amount of discoloration I see in his hand, I don't think that person is in good health. And that's my opinion, covered under the First Amendment of Constitution of the United States. And I'm entitled to my own opinion. All right. And thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. And we have so much more to look forward to in 2026. I want to wish everybody a very happy new year because it's almost New Year tomorrow. My whole idea of starting this Substack was to give you a space where you can obviously vent, but also lift each other up and regulate your nervous system, because a high cortisol is not going to help us fight fascism, right? We need to be regulated, our nervous system regulated. We need to look at what is happening, we need to act accordingly, right? And I would say that all of these accounts that peddles dooms, including mainstream media, including some of the independent media, I would say, I think they fail to do something that is follow through. Like they only focus on the sensational headline, but they don't cover what happens after that. And I try to do that part here. I follow through a lot of those sensational headlines which really bothers people, and then I report that as well. So if you are in my orbit, you will see that I cover news as well weekly, and special headlines, especially the headlines that had been in the headline and people just didn't just follow through and didn't just care to know what exactly happened. So I do that too for you guys. So I am a newsroom, a real newsroom, and an esoteric newsroom. So I want to say that thank you so much for being in my orbit. You will find me on Substack, and I have a private Patreon where I teach Tarot Lenormand to read and decode political events the way I do it. And I also have a Broom Closet Coven where I teach chaos magic, which is basically a magical practice rooted in quantum theory. And I show you how to do that, how to tune your mind to be able to practice such that form of magic. And you can check my Patreon out if you want to join our exclusive clubs. um, or you can follow us on subscribe to my Substack, where I you will get everything that is political and divination and journalism. And I hope you guys liked my first episode, and I hope to do more coming year. And if I'm too annoying, guys, let me know in the chat. I will take that as a criticism, constructive criticism, and try to fix my annoying anything that I did that is annoying. So just be clear. Just be very, very direct. All right. Okay, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Till then, don't be a doomer, be a broomer. Right, guys? All right, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Till then, have fun and have a great, great New Year celebration.